How's it going, YouTube? Phenomenal here again with another battle from the draft league that I'm in. This is going to be week 4. This week's up against Kurbii, the running sand team. I haven't made any changes to my team yet. Looking at it, I'm thinking that Excadrill is going to have a pretty fun time coming in on almost anything when it has sand set up and clicking Earthquake or Iron Head. And that's like my only thoughts going into this. I gotta try and handle Excadrill. There's nothing left on the draft board that I really want, and there's nothing I want to give up for it that'll help me deal with Excadrill a little bit better. So I'm just gonna make do with what I got. Like, I have a Ditto that can potentially come in, but if I bring that in, Zapdos comes in on, Excadrill for free, I think. Especially if they don't have like a Rock type move, and that would just, be a waste of a slot for me. I'm thinking that the way I deal with this is I go bulky on my Scizor to take an Earthquake and knock it off, or close combat it. Mamoswine could probably take an Iron Head and knock it off with Earthquake, and maybe I set up Sticky Webs and it's out of the sand and I deal with it that way. The other things that I'm concerned about is the Amoonguss. I don't want to risk having like an important member of my team take the Spore. Like, I don't really have anything outside of Blissey to take a Spore for free, but I don't want to bring Blissey because that invites Excadrill to set up on me for free. And yeah, so I'm gonna talk about what I'm bringing because I think that's a little bit more important than talking about, what how everything on their team just beats my team. So how am I gonna deal with this? So definitely expecting Amoonguss to come in. My main Amoonguss counter, I guess, was Ribombee because it doesn't get slept with Spore thanks to Sweet Veil. So the idea is to come in on a turn where they are gonna Spore. I'm hoping that they don't know what Sweet Veil does, and I get a free turn to come in with Ribombee. On the following turn, I would get a Quiver Dance up because after a +1 on the special defense, I would live a Sludge Bomb, which is what I expect them to go for, and that would trigger my weakness policy. And when they trigger my weakness policy, Ribombee will be at +3, and with Modest, a Psychic will one-shot the Amoonguss. I thought that would be pretty fun to bring if they don't have Excadrill for whatever reason at that point. This thing would go on to do a lot of damage to the rest of the team, being at +3 with Moonblast and Psychic. But if not, I could potentially get a Sticky Webs up if the Excadrill does come in and let this thing die, or opt for doing as much damage as I can with Moonblast. Scizor, the only novel thing about this Scizor set is the dual wing beat. Another thing to help me deal with Amoonguss, Choice Band, Adamant, dual wing beat has a pretty good chance to one-shot KO a standard Amoonguss set. Mamoswine, another little bit of a weird set. This specifically was to help me switch in on Kyurem. If it's like a Specs, a Freeze Dry, or Ice Beam, with my Thick Fat and Assault Vest and like the heavy investment on the Spadef side, I'm taking like 30%, 35% from Ice Beams. The potential Draco Meteors are doing 58, and I would get a nice knockoff on it, or just get good damage on it in general. Because I don't really have any answers to Kyurem outside of outspeeding it and killing it. Arcanine, another weird set. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm bringing pretty weird sets to this battle. But the idea here was to be on a balloon. It would give me at least one switch into Excadrill, or one potential switch into Excadrill if it goes for Earthquake on that turn. I would be able to intimidate it. It probably would have to switch out on my Will-O-Wisp or close combat. Close combat and Flare Blitz are just for coverage. Like, close combat hits Excadrill and Tyranitar if I'm ever in that position. Flare Blitz it will hit Amoonguss if it comes. Also the Excadrill. Thief, the idea, this was just to be funny, just to give me extra support to remove items from my opponent, because my air balloon is definitely going to get popped at one point. I could definitely steal an item and that would help the whole team. The EV spread, decided to go with like 48 speed just to make sure I outspeed Zapdos, like a fully defensive Zapdos with no speed investment, or with 8 speed EVs or 4. The attack, I think I made sure to give it enough attack to 2-hit KO Amoonguss with Flare Blitz. Defense, this is just kind of the leftovers after that. Nothing to talk about. The Alamomola said just standard flip turn, Alluring Voice, just in case you want to set up with something. Wish Protect set. I'm bringing Terra Fairy here. I thought about bringing Terra Flying for the Excadrill, but I would hard lose to the Kurbii if that were the situation. Terra Fairy would allow me to, come in on potential Dragon type moves and live Ice type moves from the Kurbii in case that ever happens. And then the Sneasler, the thing I wanted to use the most, I just had to bring Unburden with Big Nugget and Fling. If you guys don't know, Big Nugget and Fling it's a dark type move. It becomes a dark type move with base 130 BP. So after a +2, I'm thinking that Sneasler can sweep, because if Houndstone comes in, which they've been bringing a lot of defensive Houndstone, a +2 Fling would definitely kill that after a little bit of more chip. Bringing Adamant this game, their team isn't super fast. I don't need that much speed on I don't need that much speed on Sneasler, especially not after Unburden. And yeah, let's just get into the battle. So yeah, this is what they brought. I was a little sad that they didn't bring Amoonguss, which means I can't show off my anti-Amoonguss tech with Rabombi. So I'm gonna lead off with Scizor because I don't need the Sticky Webs right away, and I'm fully expecting them to bring Tyranitar, and if bringing the Rabombi into Tyranitar is not a good look. Like if I'm Focus Sash, I would have to switch out just to not lose my Sash immediately. And then I definitely don't threaten it out with anything, so Scizor is my best play in my opinion. I could have gone Sneasler. But yeah, Scizor, or this set, I can U-turn out on it. Sneasler, I can't U-turn on turn 1. I would have to go for something else. So that's just my thoughts, and I don't have hazards outside of Sticky Webs, so let's just get into it. So yeah, they do end up leading their Tyranitar. Like I said, I'm just going to U-turn out of here, not try and predict too much. Like this switch is very easy. They go into their Zapdos, it takes it decently well, but after Sand, not really, because it was Rocky Helmet. Into Mamoswine to scare it out. I'm going to go for the knockoff here, just the only play I can really go for. That makes sense. Like Ice Shard or Icicle Crash doesn't make sense because, I mean, there's no way they're staying in on a Mamoswine. So knockoff was pretty much free. Here, I didn't really pay too much attention, but I should have known that their Houndstone was Sand Rush because they don't take sand damage here, and I just totally disregarded that. The reason why I don't stay in with ammo and switch out to Arcanine was because I'm expecting the Will-O-Wisp to come in. Because like I said, I thought it was more a defensive set, so this is what I'm bringing to tank the Will-O-Wisp because I don't get burned. But they ended up popping my balloon with Psychic Fangs here. I'll let that play out. And also the damage I did with the knockoff. Like my Mamoswine doesn't have that much attack investment. It has enough to potentially 2-hit KO an Amoonguss with Icicle Crash if I'm ever in that position. So I should have definitely known something was up when I did this much damage to Houndstone. Should have known that it was more offensive. So had I known, maybe I don't switch into Arcanine. I don't know what I would switch into in that case. Maybe Alamomola, but let's just play this out. So they go into Primarina while I predict the switch, or predict them to stay in and go for Will-O-Wisp just to get extra damage on it. So getting this is nice. Here, I don't want to lose this just yet, so I'm gonna go into Alamomola because if it's gonna go for a water move, I tank that, and I'm not super threatened by this thing. If it wants to Calm Mind, I can Alluring Voice or prevent it from using Calm Mind anymore because of the threat of Alluring Voice, and I can always pivot out of there with Flip Turn. So that's what I'm gonna do, and they do call that out pretty nicely. They go for the Calm Mind. Like I said, I'm not super worried just yet. I'm gonna just Alluring Voice in case I Calm Mind again if they get a little bit greedy. But they show the Substitute, which now it becomes a little bit scary because I don't have anything. I have nothing really to break it. Like I want to preserve the Rabombi still. I don't want to sack it, and like these other guys, like the Sneasler, I don't want to tank a move because I need Mamoswine to be healthy to tank stuff from Kyurem, Scizor to be healthy to tank an Earthquake from Excadrill and knock off and try and win that way. So here I just go for another Alluring Voice because it's getting kind of low, and just in case they Calm Mind up, I'll get the confusion, and that was the idea behind these plays. And they show off the Energy Ball, which is a big mistake on my part. I didn't remember that they get Energy Ball, and it almost knocks out my Alomomola. And you know, this thing is getting pretty low, so now I definitely need Alomomola for later. Like, losing it would have definitely sucked here. They decided to go for another Calm Mind, knowing that I was going to switch out, so a really good play on their part. But I think if they had gone for like the finishing move, if they had gone for the Psychic Noise or whatever, I would have been in a very, very rough spot. But I'm able to break the sub, thankfully, with Flare Blitz. It's despite it being, you know, resisted and full health, and I'm just gonna let them kill my Arcanine. If this could have been really, really bad for me, and that's fine. After Bloom was popped, I don't think I really needed Arcanine anymore. Thinking back on it now, when I had the Arcanine out on the Houndstone, after Bloom was popped, instead of going for the Will-O-Wisp, I could have gone for a Thief to steal the item of whatever was coming in. In this case, it would be leftovers, and that would help me a little bit, I guess, with this thing. I guess the burn was also helping me in that regard. So now that this is on, I don't want to play any games with it. I'm just going to go into Sneasler, and no reason for me to expect them to go into Excadrill here because there's no sand. So Direct Claw is easy play to make. Maybe their Zapdos can come in on this turn and tank it, but the potential hacks is in my favor. I mean, it's a 50-50, but you know, it's a good luck for me if I get a sleep or poison on it. It'd be really nice. This thing comes in. I'm not really sure what it wants to do because I think Zapdos should always come in here instead of this, especially because I didn't know it was Sand Rush. Like, that just wasn't on my radar at the time because I wasn't paying enough attention to it. So I'm just going to go here, like, okay, Big Nugget Fling is going to kill from here, and I'm going to be able to proc my Unburden, so that's just what I go for. There's no reason for me to think about anything else. And yeah, this definitely catches them by surprise, and now Zapdos comes in. I'm going to do Direct Claw, kind of fishing for hacks and just trying to see how much damage I'm doing. I almost Sword Sense here in case they wanted to roost, because I would end up winning in that regard, or in that I would end up winning that exchange if that's how that goes down. But I was afraid of the Hurricane. I didn't know it's full set by this point. I don't think I've seen any move on the Zapdos just yet. Definitely could, you know, I can expect U-turn or Volt Switch, discharge and something, and then so they end up U-turning out. I guess they expected me maybe to switch out, but I want to make the most advantage, or I want to make the most of my Unburden, so that's kind of why I stayed in. But maybe switching out would have been a good play for me. So I'm not too mad about them U-turning here, and me not using Sword Sense here. Not super upset about it either, but I think I would have swept with it +2 on the Sneasler at this point. So they come in. I think this is their Scarfer. I don't think they know how Unburden works, otherwise they wouldn't have just let me have this thing. Maybe they could have like switched back into Tyranitar or something to set up their sand, and I don't know. Definitely keeping Zapdos healthy should have been their priority. So yeah, so I got the kill on this thing, so everything's looking pretty good for me at this point. Unfortunately, I don't kill. Like, this thing is just way too bulky, and I don't get any Direct Claw status, which is, you know, I shouldn't make that my win condition, but kind of sucks that I think I go for 3 and I get nothing, even though, like, at that point it would be in my favor. So I finally get the SD off because I need to do as much damage as I can. If it kills me on the turn that I SD, that means it's not super healthy, and overall a pretty good trade for me. The Mamoswine comes in on the Zapdos here. I thought about going for Earthquake in case they wanted to roost, because my Mamoswine is definitely slower. And I really wish I had gone for Earthquake, because that would have gotten rid of the Excadrill here. Also would have, you know, hit the Tyranitar. I just would have hit everything, every option that they would have gone in here. But at the same time, I didn't want to take a Heat Wave in case they had that, or Hurricane, because I really, really need this thing to be healthy. And if I wanted to roost, I would catch that too. So it was a pretty important turn, I think, for the rest of the game. Like it looks like I have 4 Pokemon, but Alomomola is pretty beat up at this point. And so yeah, so this comes in on the Ice Shard. I know I can live 1 Iron Head and knock it off with Earthquake, so I'm not super worried about it. Looking back at it, maybe I should have switched Alomomola and just played around switching with that or something, just to get some health back on it. But that's not what ends up happening. And I get flinched, which really sucks. But that's just the nature of the game. That's okay. So I'm just forced to Ice Shard here just to get as much damage as I can. My contingency is to come in with a Scizor, go for knockoff because I can tank an Earthquake, as you see here, and kill it back with knockoff. I think them staying in here with Excadrill is a mistake because they could have easily gone into their full health Tyranitar and tank the pretty much anything I wanted to go for. I mean, if I'd gone for close combat, which I don't remember if I had. Let's see, did I have it? No, I didn't even have it. But they, they would have set their sand up for, I guess potentially Rubambi could have revenged it if it was low enough. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think they had to lose Excadrill. Maybe going to their Tyranitar would have been a better play here, especially considering the fact that I went for knockoff. That would have forced me out because I'm banded. So yeah, Zapdos comes in here. I'm locked into knockoff. I know I'm slower because I'm, max attack, max HP with Choice Band. So I don't want to die here just yet because I definitely still need Scizor to help me take out Tyranitar at this point. So it's still not looking super good. And here they just go for Heat Wave, which on the Rubambi switch in, this wasn't intentional. It was just I need if they wanted to roost there, that would have been good. This would have gotten me a free switch, and I think my play here was to set up a Quiver Dance and just do as much damage as possible. But I think there's a potential for them to have won the game from here if they had just roosted here instead of going for the Heat Wave, because if they roost here, I don't kill with +1 Moonblast, and Tyranitar just kills this thing. I don't know. Could have been a lot of different things, but Heat Wave comes in here, gives me my weakness policy, which is super funny. I don't think they expected that, and I'm able to just knock out with Moonblast. And Tyranitar is just going to come in. It's the last thing on their team. It's going to tank a ton from Moonblast, and I can just finish the game off with Scizor at this point. Yeah, super fun game. A lot of interesting turns. Definitely. I think just they had the upper. I mean, just team wise, they had the upper hand. I don't think my team was well enough equipped to easily deal with what they got. But I mean, all that being said, I think my opponent played decently well. I don't think I played all that great. Like. Just not being aware of the sand not hitting the house zone, just really little things like that. But I feel like I did what I could with what I had. Like losing the Mamoswine with the flinch kind of sucked, but I don't think it changes the game at all. Like sure, I have Mamoswine to help deal with the Zapdos. I guess the end game could have been a lot less scarier if they had kept their Zapdos healthy and I still had Mamoswine. I guess that's probably the only thing that changes. So yeah, I mean, thanks for watching. I'll be doing my week 5 match in the near future. Hopefully that's going to be like a live battle, so I can get my thought process as I'm playing the game instead of just doing it post. Yeah, thanks for watching, and see you guys on the next one.